Aki. Thanks for this year's recognition. It's really an honor to be awarded this for Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. I want to thank the selection committee and the staff at Aki. I've had the honor to work with folks at Aki for the past couple of years. AAPI Women Lead and Aki have hosted movement building series together where we get to educate and collect our community stories around the history of violence against Asians and Pacific Islanders, especially women, girls, femmes, and non-binary communities. I'm humbled and honored to receive this award. It's been a really challenging past couple of years, specifically with the violence against Asians and Asian Americans. At AAPI Women Lead, an organization that believes in transformative justice, we know that the violence against our communities can be traced to the history of colonial and imperialist wars across the Pacific. It can be traced to the racist and xenophobic policies, not limited to internment camps and exclusion acts here in the United States, which many of us understand to be stolen land. In the present tense, our communities have experienced violence through unequal access to healthcare, limited language services, detentions, deportations, gentrification, unequal access to vaccines, especially for our Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander communities. And it can be traced to state violence, including police deaths. More recently, violence against our communities include the shooting death in the Atlanta area, where 6 of the 8 people who were killed were Asian women, many of whom were migrant workers, sex workers, immigrants. Their deaths were made possible by a white supremacist and misogynist culture that is also anti-sex work. And that has caused a lot of suffering and a lot of losses and deaths. Our communities have also lost 4 Sikh community members, and we've lost them to racial violence. We've also lost a number of community members to police violence, which is also racial violence, including the death of 16-year-old I Remember Saikap, a Micronesian boy who was killed by Honolulu PD. We also lost Angelo Quinto, a Filipino male who was having a mental health crisis and was killed by the Antioch police. These racial and gendered forms of violence must end. We must do the work of ending the violence together, and we must have a systemic analysis of the violence happening. We must center the experiences and frameworks of those who are surviving and resisting at the intersections of multiple marginalities, and we must do this work in solidarity with other communities of color. So I want to thank Aki for being a part of this work, for serving our communities, and for helping us to create a world where our communities are funded and resourced to take care of each other and to protect one another. Dr. Grace Lee Boggs asked us to do the hard work of radically reimagining this world. Because to her, she said, another world is possible, and I agree. So I want to thank Aki for this recognition, and I want to thank you all for being a part of this movement to create a different world where we honor ourselves and we take care of each other because we keep each other safe. So thank you for creating this world with us and for honoring me as we do this work together. Thank you so much, and take good care of yourselves.